guys, we're back talking some more Harley Quinn Season 3 on the channel with the 5th episode. Last episode was a lot of fun, but the big question still swirling around the series is who exactly took Frank? Because we never got the answer at the end of the last episode of who actually took him. He's still missing, and that mystery does carry over into this week's episode with some big surprises along the way. I quite enjoyed the adventure this week. Something that I really like about Season 3 so far, it seems like each and every episode we're going to a new, fun, different location. This time around, we're going to New Orleans. And if that part wasn't fun enough, we are going there to get assistance from Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing plays a big part in the episode. And this episode did remind me a lot of just how much I missed that Swamp Thing show that aired on DC Universe that was like immediately canceled. It was such a good show in my opinion. It had so much potential. Do any of you guys remember watching that series? Because I'd love to know your thoughts about it in the comment section. The reasoning why we needed to track down Swamp Thing and ask for his assistance to find Frank was fascinating. It appears that Ivy isn't strong enough to access the green to its full potential, so the only option really here is to go try and find Swamp Thing where he lives in New Orleans. Even if apparently him and Ivy don't really get along, it's one of those things that is explained in the show. They have very differing philosophies because Ivy is a villain after all. Now, I've quite enjoyed all the episodes so far. I like the focus on Harley and Ivy, but one of the big things I am really bummed about when it comes to Season 3 is King Shark and Clayface, they're really sidelined. They don't really get to go on these fun excursions out with the crew anymore. They're left behind, and instead, in their place, we're going to bring along Nora Freeze for this adventure, which I didn't really have a problem with. Nora Freeze being included was kind of a surprise though, mostly because of her personality shift. Now that she's not with Mr. Freeze anymore, she's a party animal. She's doing drugs, she's doing keg stands. Even later on in the episode, she sleeps with Swamp Thing, which, I mean, out of everything she does in the episode, that was probably the most surprising to me to have them hook up. I don't even understand the logistics on how you sleep with Swamp Thing, but to be honest, I don't know if I really want to know. Regardless, the girls' trip to New Orleans was pretty great. Poor Harley, though. Pretty much a big plot point all throughout this episode, no matter what's going on, is how badly that she wants beignets since they're in New Orleans and that is the place to get beignets. Even I, by the end of the episode, not only was I rooting for her to actually get some beignets, but I wanted some beignets, because beignets are pretty damn good. I love me some DC characters, and I do consider myself a sort of glutton for punishment because I did watch the majority of the Arrowverse. So you can imagine my hype and excitement when we get one scene in this episode with John Constantine showing up, and he's voiced by Matt Ryan, who also voiced him in all the Arrowverse shows. He gets plastered with the group and he's never seen again, which was kind of disappointing to me. But just having that one little cameo here was pretty great. At this point in time, everything in the Arrowverse is dying. You know, The Flash is finally ending and all the other shows are canceled or ending as well. So if this ends up being the final appearance for Matt Ryan as John Constantine in this one little role, I will be a bit disappointed. But if you're going to go out in some shape or form, and the Harley Quinn show I think is a perfect end to his character. There is another storyline in the episode that's going on adjacent to this, and it's not exactly my favorite. The Bruce and Selena dynamic, their relationship, it's not one of the highlights of the series to me, but it does have some fun moments to it. Honestly, I do really feel for Bruce Wayne in this series. I mean, he is so whipped on Selena Kyle, which is totally valid, but Selena Kyle is so mean to him in this show, so I just feel so bad for him. He's trying his hardest, you know, he's giving her cats named after his dead parents as a gift, and she does not really seem to enjoy that favor. At least we step in here, Alfred kind of gets them a therapist of some sort. It's really actually the Music Meister. Much like the characters, I kind of had to warm up to this idea, because at first I wasn't sure I was going to really like it, but then they actually start being forced to sing and express their feelings to one another, and the tune itself is kind of catchy about not wanting to be alone. It certainly doesn't rival some of the other songs coming out of comic book properties lately, like License to Drive by the Boys I think is still the gold standard in recent memory, but it's still a decent enough tune for what it is. Out of all of the ways that this show could portray Swamp Thing, I can't say I was expecting him to be this raging hipster type, but in the context of this series, at least I could say I think it does work for him here. The attitude that he has, his mannerisms, the lifestyle that he lives, the fact that he cannot handle rejection whatsoever because he swears that Nora is his girlfriend, even though they've only been around each other for like less than a day, which pretty much is the worst possible outcome you can have, because we already know going in that Ivy and Swamp Thing do not get along, and to add insult to injury now, we have a giant forest being unleashed upon them to try and kill them in retaliation for Nora rejecting Swamp Thing. One of the things I always like about Harley is every now and then we do get instances where we bring up the fact that she used to be a psychiatrist, and you know, she's actually extremely smart. We saw that in Birds of Prey mentioned as well. And she's using it here to kind of diagnose Swamp Thing while he's having these extreme rageful outbursts against everyone. Between the last episode and this episode, we've been seeing a lot of Ivy actually opening up for once as a character. Episode 4, she was opening up a bit more about her feelings towards Harley and relationships, and now here she's opening up to Swamp Thing, admitting that currently she just isn't strong enough to find Frank, and breaks down about it because she considers Frank her best friend, which inevitably is what actually gets her to gain the ability, the power to access the green to its full potential. Yeah, I mean, that is extremely cliche. I mean, they even admit it's cliche in the story, so I don't know if I could really knock them for something like that if they're already making fun of it themselves. Thankfully for Harley's sake, Harley does get some beignets by the end of the episode, so a kind of sort of semi-happy ending. And also, we find out the big reveal of who actually took Frank, but it ends up being Bruce Wayne is the one that took Frank to do some fun tests on some experiments. That's going to be a really interesting, intriguing plot thread to follow. Why exactly did Bruce Wayne take Frank? And what's it going to take to get Frank back? Are we going to see Harley, Ivy, and all of them get together and fight the Bat Family? But now you've heard my thoughts on Harley Quinn Season 3, Episode 5. Make sure you share your thoughts down below. What'd you think of the episode? Did you like the episode? Not like the episode? Also, how are we feeling about Swamp Thing appearing? And also, that little tiny cameo of John Constantine. Are we excited about that? Do we think we're going to see them ever pop up again anywhere else? I mean, Swamp Thing as a show was one time a thing. We could maybe have the Justice League Dark in the future, maybe one day. Anyways, thank you guys so much for checking out the reviews. I really do appreciate that. Make sure you leave a like on the video and also subscribe to the channel so you update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Next time, I'll see you guys later.